What is going on, guys? It's Sean GPT. Welcome back to the channel and thank you for tuning in. Today we are going to be covering a really sweet topic. This is my military armament MAC5 MP5. This is the cheapest 9mm MP5 clone that you can buy out on the market today. We'll go over all the costs as well as the cost of the upgrades that I have on this, but as you can see, there is a stock as well as a vertical grip. So this is an SBR, and this is probably one of the cheapest SBR MP5 builds on YouTube that I think is still of quality parts. And this will actually be a two-stamper. I'm going to spoil something for you guys right now. I have a suppressor on order for this gun, and we will cover that once it comes in. But before we jump into today's video, there's just a couple things I want to cover. So first off, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it's been a minute. I have been shooting a lot of competitive USPSA matches this year, something I've really dove into head first, and I really enjoy it. I will be bringing a lot of that content onto this channel as well. If you guys want a video, anything regarding competitive shooting, whether you're looking to start out and you don't know what to do, that's a journey that I've been on constantly over the last few months, but I have a pretty good idea of what needs to be done at this point. Maybe you're looking for some drills, things to work on, or just looking for match footage in general. I plan on doing some match vlogs as the bigger ones roll around this summer. That being said, I will be using this Insta360 Go a lot. This is a first-person hat camera that will give a really cool perspective. I'll throw some footage in here of just some practice I was doing. And yes, I know this plate rack wrecked me, but I am really excited to use this on the channel. That being said, today's video will be filmed partially in the first-person view, even though my desk is a little bit messy, but I want to bring a more unique review style to the channel that I haven't really seen before on a lot of other firearm review channels. So let me know if you like it. If you hate it, let me know as well. I won't do that for reviews. I'll still use the top-down camera just for a few different shots, but I really look forward to using this. Next order of business is that I will be shooting at a different range. So the range I've been shooting at, it just hasn't been working out for filming. I found a much better location. So a lot of the content, especially when it comes to pistol shooting and USPSA, will be shot at a different outdoor range than what I've been doing. This is going to provide a really nice space for me to do outdoor reviews as well, so we can just get this thing out on the bench and shoot it immediately after going over it. So stay tuned for next week's video. This will be just an overview of the build, but next week I will actually be reviewing the MAC5 MP5 in its complete form. I've got quite a few rounds through this gun already, and I have a really good idea of if it's a good buy or not. And again, we'll go over all of that. Lastly, I just want to give a shout out to Crossroads Shooting Sports in Johnston, Iowa, in the greater Des Moines area. They've been extremely supportive of me in my competitive shooting journey, as well as just being a really good wealth of knowledge. I enjoy shooting matches there, as well as just talking to the friendly staff when I'm doing my normal shooting. This is not a paid promotion, but I just really wanted to shout them out as they've been extremely helpful in the last few months to me. So, all right, so jumping into the actual overview here. So again, the host gun for this is going to be a MAC5 MP5. I'll have a full review of the actual gun itself coming out next week. It is a fantastic budget-friendly option when it comes to MP5s, and I really don't think you guys are going to be disappointed with it. Moving on to the rear of the firearm. So you will see that this is a Magpul stock. This is their SL line for the MP5 and MP5K. It's a really nice stock. It has a steel rivet for your QD mounts for slings, which is a really nice add-on. This is the cheapest sliding stock that you can buy for an MP5. As you can see, there is just a little bit of wobble here. It's kind of hard to tell. When you're shouldering it, it's rock solid. I really don't think there's any issues with it. It wobbles up and down a little bit, but you really don't notice it. But the actual lock itself is super solid. I have no qualms with this or the build quality. Obviously, I wish it didn't wobble, but once you have it connected in here, it really is pretty solid for what you're getting, considering that this is like a third of the price of an HK sliding stock. I really like the quick lever that you can use to open this, and the fitment on it overall is incredible. I'm super happy with it. It's got rubber bushings for the recoil system up in here, and if I was going to buy everything again, I would definitely go with this stock. The last thing I want to note is that the cheek weld area is actually very pleasant for higher optics as well as lower ones that sit without any kind of riser. When you're looking for optics and just parts in general for an MP5, keep in mind that this gun was not the most ergonomic thing to come out. It was made to be a hard-use duty gun, and sometimes the creature comforts weren't always in the forethought of people's minds back in when this design was created. Moving on into here, as we can see, the lower unit itself is also going to be a Magpul part. So this is going to be their semi-shelf lower receiver for the MP5. If you guys are familiar with the platform, or maybe you might not be familiar, but essentially the MP5, the serialized part is going to be this upper part. Pretty much everything bolts onto this upper unit here. It's all one piece. As you can see, it's stamped here for an SBR, but this part was very easy to install. And I've seen some concerns of fitment on the MAC5 MP5, and although it's pretty tight, it does fit. What you're gaining with this is a much more ergonomic grip for your hand to go onto. It is a much better angle, and it gets rid of those ridges that a lot of people really don't like on the MP5. In addition to that, I also have the Magpul ESK Safety selector. If you have an MP5 or you've ever handled one, then you know the safety is pretty much impossible to use with a normal grip. Really wish I bought this part sooner. You don't have to run the Magpul grip to use this safety selector. It'll fit any MP5 standard lower that you have, but I just wanted to add that in since I had this already. Additionally, it is ambidextrous, and you can also, it comes with a bunch of different things for the opposite side. And what I mean by that is you get different levers, so you can have the same exact long lever on this side as well. I like this little stubby one just because it's there. However, I don't really think it would interfere with my hand whatsoever when I'm shooting. So I just really like this option. These two things married together have been the biggest improvement I've made on the gun, and I'll just say that right now. The grip is just so much more comfortable. I feel like I have a lot more control. The grip itself is a little bit slimmer than your standard polymer Magpul MOE grip that you might be used to. And it kind of has this triangulated ridge on both sides here. It's a little different in terms of the hand feel, but the stippling on it is fantastic. There's just enough grip where it's not going to hurt over an extended period of time, but you have a really good grip on the firearm itself. Now, moving upwards here, this is going to be a Midwest Industries optics mount. This is a claw style mount, which is very common on MP5s. This mount is very solid. I'm always impressed with Midwest Industries and their products. They make a really cool gambit of features that you can upgrade an MP5 with, whether it's a rail. They have a different kind of claw mount that has an M-lock section that goes all the way up here and kind of locks into the front sight. That's something I really want to try. They just weren't in stock at the time of when I started doing this build. But I think if you're looking for an affordable claw mount, then Midwest Industries is probably your best bet. These aren't the easiest things to install. However, once they're on, they're on. They do not move. The MP5, or at least the MAC5 MP5 has the lugs these connect on, just like any other MP5. And I think that is absolutely perfect. The optic I'm using is the Vortex Crossfire II. This is a very inexpensive red dot that I've had great luck with on a lot of different guns. This used to be on a rifle I had, and now it's on this MP5. I've messed around with the high and the low mounts, and I accidentally discovered that when you're looking through the glass here itself, it's at a really nice angle when you're shouldering it, where your eye just kind of meets it. You don't really have to duck your neck down very much at all. But with the tall mount, there's this open section here, and you're actually able to look through the sights, which is kind of cool that you can co-witness through that. It was definitely not intentional, and you can't do that when you use the low mount. That being said, if we just want to take a second here, you're going to see that since the barrel is under the recoil system on the MP5, once you add the claw and an elevated mount, the height over bore is just insane. So if you're going to stick to a short range zero, you just got to know your holds. It's something I've been getting used to on the platform. I'm really happy with this gun 100 yards and in, but I really would not want to shoot it much farther than that in this configuration. Body size steel is no problem, like D-zone steel. C-zone steel is, kind of up to the shooter. A-zone steel would be very tough at 100 yards with the MP5 in general, but if you're really comfortable with the platform, a lot of people can do it. So that being said, we're going to move on to the mags. Now, the MAC5 comes with 2 mags, and they are stamped MAC. I believe these are MKE mags, or like some kind of like clone of a clone type deal with the mags. These suck. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, these are absolutely terrible. They're god-awful. Do not trust your range day with them, let alone your life. I'm being serious. These mags have problems. And as much as I do love this platform and I love this gun in particular, I just really do not like the magazines. I use them for training, and most of that is because I know it'll jam and it'll give me time to clear the actual rifle. When we do the total price breakdown, I'm definitely going to be adding that in there. Again, you have to buy the actual HK Mags. It's kind of a necessity on any clone build, whether it's a Zenith, anything else. People can have luck with KCI mags, but if you want the ultimate reliability, just spend the money, buy once, cry once, and get some MP5 mags from HK directly. Moving on to the forend of the gun, there's a few different things I have on here. Just to start off with the boring stuff, this is a Magpul MVG foregrip. It pairs really nicely with the Magpul SL Handguard here. And it gives you just enough grip on the actual weapon itself. As you can see, there's a little bit of a hand stop on the front here, but my hand fits really nicely in there in a pocket. I have a lot of control. I can still get my thumb over the bore and not take the gun out of battery, which is a really big thing on these guns with the charging handle up front. I've had a light on here before on this side. In some of the shooting videos you'll see, I have a stream light on here that I was just messing around with. And the worst part about that is there's not a really good place to put the tape switch. The foregrip doesn't have, or excuse me, the forend doesn't really have a whole lot of space to begin with. As you can see, there's 1/2 M-lock panel in the back on 3 of the 4 sides, and then it has 2 full M-lock sections. Getting the light on there is fine, but I haven't really found a tape switch mount that works really well on here that's not super bulky or has some kind of interference with the charging handle when you're coming back, because as you can see, my hand, when I'm grabbing it slow, like really firmly, my hand's already touching the foregrip or the forend as I'm doing this. So when you get into that rail section, putting anything on here is pretty much a no-go. I know that there are some stubby grips out there that you can put a tape switch in. I can change the different kind of connector on it, but to be honest, it's a Streamlight, and I really don't feel the need to put a light on here. Obviously, there is the Surefire forend where you have that, and then there's an integrated flashlight into it, but there's a reason that I really don't want to own one of those, and that's the interference with the suppressor. So in this typical configuration, if you want to run a light on it and make it really easy, you have pretty much 3 options. And the first one is that you're going to buy a Streamlight. You'll probably have to buy a Surefire adapter to run a Unity and put that hot button somewhere that you can reach it, but still not activate it accidentally, and work the charging handle. So that's a little bit tough. The second option is that you can just leave the clicky cap on. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing, is just putting the clicky cap and running it that way. Or the third option is going to be essentially buying that Midwest Industries full-length rail where it has M-lock sections above the recoil system where you can put the tape switch on here. I'm not sure if that'll interfere with this charging handle, but I think you'd probably be fine. I've seen people do it before, so it just is what it is. Or you could mount the light, kind of 45-degree it down here, and then run the tape switch back there. You know, there's not a whole lot of room on these things. Especially if you're running the Magpul, you might want to look into different options if you know you're going to be hanging like a laser, any kind of IR device, as well as visible illumination. So take that for what it's worth. For me, in a budget build, this is going to work perfectly fine. Moving up here, I know I was kind of grabbing at it, but this is going to be a different cocking lever. So I ordered this from HK Parts, and I'm not really sure who makes it, but it's weighted, and it's different from that little like kind of half moon cocking handle. This is very, very solid. It's full metal. It's much heavier, like 4 times heavier than the OEM one. And it doesn't rotate, which is really nice, but there's some nice knurling, and it makes getting a good grip on this really easy. Since it's weighted, it makes it really easy to do the slap and get it back into battery quickly, and just overall manipulating the gun at a higher speed. This is a huge necessity on the gun itself. So I think it was $40, which is a little bit steep, but the install is really easy. You just kind of poke out this pin a little bit, pull the old one out, put it back in, and then on the bottom side here, you'd be able to see when the Magpul grip is off, you'd be able to see that there's a secondary hole that you kind of beat it back up into. So overall, really happy with that. The muzzle device on this thing is actually the flash hider that comes stock with the MAC5 MP5. It uses the tri-lug system, so I probably can't get this off because it's carbon locked, but take my word for it, this is a really good muzzle device. When you have a roller delay blowback gun and you're adding some kind of venting for the muzzle itself, there's like literally 0 recoil in this thing. It feels like you're shooting a 22, and only it's a lot smoother. The recoil is very linear. There's really no muzzle rise. But this does have the tri-lug system, so eventually, once the suppressor comes in, I did order a Silencer Co. Omega 9K that is going to live pretty much on this gun exclusively. I'll buy a tri-lug adapter for it, and then I can run it on there full time. So looking forward to that. All right, so we're going to jump into costs. I know that's what everyone's dying to know with this build, so we'll get right to it here. So the MAC5 MP5, it'll come in a pistol configuration with a hard case, 2 mags, a cleaning kit, a sling, and like I think that's pretty much it. It'll have the Gen 1 MP5 forend and literally nothing on the butt, but just like a cap thing. So again, it gets sold in the pistol configuration for a 9mm MAC5 MP5. The full MSRP retail, I think, is like $1,200, but you can find them all day for $1,100. I picked up this one in specific for $1,000, so it was definitely a good deal. I have seen them a little bit cheaper, but they also offer the MP5K, and I think the pricing is pretty much the same point. If you can buy one under $1,000, then absolutely do it. I still think at $1,000, it's a fantastic price point, especially if you want to get into an MP5 clone and even don't want to shell out the money for a Zenith or something like that. This is a very similar clone that I think performs just as well as any other kind of clone on the market today. For the tax stamp, obviously, if you're going to SBR a gun, it's going to be $200 if you didn't do it in the times when it was free. I use Silencer Shop to do pretty much anything NFA. So I already have an account on there with my fingerprints, all the digital stuff. If you've bought a can from them in the past, for $50, they will perform the Form 2 for you, or the Form 1 to do the SBR for $200, in addition to the $50 that you have to pay for the service. So I got this SBR back in like, I think it was under 24 hours. So it was super sick. Gotta love e-forms, and that's the world we live in right now. So the tax stamp was $200. The Magpul SL Stock is $120. So it's a very, very great value in today's time, especially when it comes to sliding stocks. If you're going to SBR it, then it's $320 in total for the stamp and the stock, which is pretty comparable to what some of the braces can cost if you can't find them on a good deal. So that is really nice. Moving on to the Magpul grip here, the actual lower part. This is $60 pretty much all day, every day. They're very easily to find. This is a half shelf lower. So when you're looking for these, if you have a MP5 clone, that's a full length MP5, you're going to want a half shelf. I know that there's a pin here generally that you're going to see right behind the mag well. That is essentially just covered up. You do not need the pin because the entire, the way that this is, it's kind of cantilevering up, holding everything in, housing the trigger. and all the action for that and the hammer. And then you just use this one rear pin. So if you have a similar clone and you see that little pin right there, then you will know that it's not anything to worry about. You just don't use it when you put this thing all together. For the Magpul ESK Safety, this is $50. So this is going to be something you can definitely find on sale. I've seen them on sale from like $25 to $35 pretty much all the time. But if you need to buy one right now, generally you're going to pay about 50 bucks for it. This is probably one of the biggest mods I would do. If I couldn't do anything else, I would be buying the safety selector. So keep that in mind. I think that's a really important part of the build. And if you can only buy one thing from today, it would be that, and at least what I would recommend to you. The Midwest Industry claw mount is going to cost anywhere from about like $75 to $100, 100 being like very high on that side. You can find these pretty readily for $75. They would do a really good job. I don't think you would want to spend much less on one, considering it's holding the zero of your optic, but I've never had this come loose. I used some Loctite on it, and it's on there super solid. I trust it for my zero, and I'm really happy with it. For the optic itself, again, this is the Vortex Crossfire II. This is a fantastic option for a budget red dot, and you can find them at most sporting goods stores for about 150 bucks. These do drop down to $100 every once in a while, but if you're looking for a micro red dot with 2 different mounting options, as well as great battery life, a really clear glass, and a nice reticle, the Crossfire 2 is pretty much the best red dot, in my opinion, under $200 when it comes to these micro dots. So that moves us up to the front here. This cocking lever costs $40, and it's a little bit expensive for what it is, but I don't regret buying it. I think that this is one of the best creature comfort parts that I've put on here. Again, totally not necessary to the actual build, but I like the look of it and I really like the function. Now, the Magpul forend is kind of one that's all over the place because I find these on sale pretty regularly, but you can expect to spend about like 45 to 50 bucks generally. Sometimes you can find them for around 30. We're just going to call it about like 45 bucks just to say it's on the higher side to make it easy. And then this Magpul foregrip itself, this is going to be about 20 bucks at most retail stores that you can find them at. Moving on, again, the flash hider came with it, so that brings us to a total price of $1,790. Now, that also is not including 2 mags for the MP5. I'm just using the factory mags for this build. If you are going to be using this gun in any kind of capacity other than just like shooting 5 rounds at a time, you're going to want to buy HK Mags, and you can expect to pay about $150, $160 for 2 of them. They're very expensive, but they will be the last mags you ever buy for this MP5. If you want to buy 3 of them, that would be $240, and that will be like down here, wherever I decide to edit it in, that'll be the total with mags. So overall, you're getting a fantastic package. You're at about 2/3 of the price of just a bare SP5 from HK in a pistol configuration with pretty much no frills to it. I really like the way this build turned out. I can't wait to get the suppressor into it. And again, I will be doing a full review of the gun itself, but I wanted to show you guys the entire budget for this build. It's really sweet that you can be out here building MP5s for under $2,000 or right around 2,000 bucks, if you include the mags. You can be right at about $2,000 to build a really sick SBR setup. So not just pistol braced, this is a full-on SBR, exactly how I've always wanted the MP5 to be, and I'm still cheaper than what I could find any used SP5 any day of the week for. So that being said, guys, that's about all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please leave a like and leave a comment here. That is the best way to help out the channel, is just engage with the video. Let me know the parts that you like on this. Let me know if you think it's god-awful hideous, what you want to see next on the channel, and we'll see you guys later.